Howdy-ho, everyone. I am Nathan, and today we are going to be talking about our favorite character we love to hate, hate to love, hate to hate, and love to love, Severus Snape.
After all this time, always.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are talking about Severus Snape. I wanted to talk a little bit about him because, he's one of those characters that is great for debating. Plenty of people love to talk about whether or not he's a good character or a bad character, and although we will get into a little bit of that today, I'm actually more interested in one singular question that I don't think has been answered very many times. Is Severus Snape a good teacher?
Obviously.
Now, we can debate all day about whether or not Snape is a good person or a bad person. J.K. Rowling herself said in a tweet from November of 2015 that Snape is all gray. You can't make him a saint. He was vindictive and bullying. You can't make him a devil. He died to save the wizarding world. So it's very difficult to say whether or not he's a good person or a bad person. But can we talk about his teaching for a moment, and can we decide whether or not any of his goodness or badness plays into that? I think the first thing we have to do is realize that, yes, almost no teacher in all of history of anything has allowed their personal feelings to interfere with something more than Severus Snape. We see this time and time again in many, many pages and scenes from both the books and movies, his mistreatment of Harry based entirely on his opinion of his father.
You're just like your father. Lazy, arrogant.
Don't say a word against my father.
Weak.
I'm not weak.
Then prove it. Your father was a swine.
He sees Harry as the embodiment of everything that he hated about James, polluting all of the things that he loved about Lily. We see, obviously, that he looks every bit like his father. We see that over and over again. Except for his eyes. He has his mother's eyes.
You have your mother's eyes.
Or he would if Daniel Radcliffe would just cowboy up and wear the darn contacts, regardless of how it makes his eyes feel. But that's not the only person he mistreats, is it? We could maybe assume that he just mistreats Harry because of his relationship with James, but what we find is that he mistreats other students as well. We have to look no further than Harry's best friends to see that he mistreats Ron on a regular basis, although usually based on how Harry is reacting in the situation.
This is mad. At this rate, we'll be the only ones on you without dates. Oh.
Harry, why are you always dragging Ron into all of your messes? Then, of course, we see how he treats Hermione, who, of course, is always just trying to give the right answer. She's generally loved by all of her other teachers, and she's only answering the questions that were asked of her, but Snape sees her as a overbearing know-it-all.
Furthermore, the werewolf only responds to the call of its own kind.
Oh!
Thank you, Mr. Malfoy. That is the second time you've spoken out of turn, Miss Granger. Are you incapable of restraining yourself, or do you take pride in being an insufferable know-it-all?
Which she is sort of those things, but as a teacher, that's what you want. You want students who make you look good by being good at your subject. People usually assume that that means you're a good teacher. So that's kind of our first point, is that he definitely allows his personal feelings to get in the way. We see it time and time again with other Gryffindors, and obviously with the Slytherins, that he treats them better than he would treat other students. So now we have to go on to, is there any evidence of whether or not he actually teaches well? Obviously, we see a few things here or there. In the Chamber of Secrets, we see that he actually does teach a class how to do the disarmament spell when he's dueling with Lockhart.
Expelliarmus!
Although I really think that was just because he wanted to make Lockhart look as dumb as he possibly could. If he was really concerned about teaching well, he would have, stepped in whenever his students started using spells that they were not allowed to use in that fight.
On the count of 3, cast your charms to disarm your opponent. Only to disarm. We don't want any accidents here. 1, 2.
Inverte status!
Now, as we get into Book 6, which we're going to be talking about a lot, since it's the one that's about Snape.
You dare use my own spells against me, Potter? Yes. I'm the half-blood prince.
We see that Slughorn is very impressed with Harry's ability to make potions. And one could say that Snape is a great teacher, because Harry learned all of those things from Snape. But I believe that if we actually talk it out, we'll learn that this proves not that Snape is a good teacher, but a terrible one. A self-centered and self-righteous character who only wants his own success, and we'll get into that in just a second. Potions has always been really, really interesting to me, something that I have always been interested in, that if I was in the wizarding world, I believe it's something I would be good at. I love chemistry, I love baking and cooking, and really what it comes down to is if you know how the things work together, you can put them together and you can get cool results, right? And that's exactly how potion making works. We see that it's a step-by-step, follow-the-recipe sort of thing. There's no nonsensical enchantments, there's no wand-waving, as Snape tells us, and there's no silly incantations. It's just A plus B equals C.
There will be no foolish wand-waving or silly incantations in this class.
It is something that as long as you know the technique behind making the potion and you know the ingredients that it requires, you get the result that you want. This is evident by a couple of things. First of all, in year 2, Hermione successfully makes the Polyjuice Potion. Why couldn't I remember that? Year 2, Hermione successfully makes the Polyjuice Potion. This is, of course, a potion that is well beyond her skill level and the skill level of the other guys. And we could chalk this up to Hermione's just really great at things, but Hermione is not actually really great at magic itself. She's great at following directions and coming up with ideas. Those are her two great strengths. I will talk about that in another video because I have some interesting things to say about Hermione and what her real talents are. That being said, I am more interested in the fact that as a very young student, an 11 or 12-year-old, she is able to follow these directions well enough for her to successfully make a potion that is theoretically very difficult to make. She says at the time that it's the most difficult potion she's ever seen. Now, of course, she's only 12, and she's only seen so many things at this point, but she is Hermione. She's probably read a lot of potions. We see, additionally, that as Harry is learning to make better potions in year 6, it is simply because he is following the proper directions comparatively to everyone else. And that's the real crux of the idea. This is the real reason why I believe that Snape is actually not a great teacher. If potions is just following directions, if potions is able to be done simply by knowing the steps that it takes, then he should be able to convey the proper steps to his students. He already does this in Book 6 by giving them the proper steps to make the potions through the Half-Blood Prince book. We even see in year 3 that he is capable of teaching students how to make deduction and learn things from observation, teaching them steps to figure things out whenever he is motivated to do so, as he tries to get his students to learn the true identity of Professor Lupin.
Turn to page 394.
Werewolves?
But sir, we've just begun learning about red caps and hinky punks. We're not meant to start nocturnal beasts for weeks.
He's a werewolf! That's why he's been missing classes.
How long have you known?
Since Professor Snape set the essay.
So it's not that he's incapable of doing these things. No, he can share steps. He can share secrets. He just doesn't. I don't understand the full reason, although I have some theories about why he doesn't want to share things. But as we can see, that Snape, who is in his 6th year of potions, is capable of making potions that no other person other than him is capable of making, simply because he has done what I love to do in baking, which is learn the recipes, figure out how things work, and then try to improve upon them. Add that extra egg. Put another dash of vanilla in it. It's not going to hurt anything. It's going to make it delicious. But we see that in the Half-Blood Prince, he's giving instruction through the book to Harry to add extra ingredients, to cut them or crush them in different ways than the book actually explains. And from this, we can tell that Snape actually knows how to make potions better than almost anyone else. But why wouldn't he teach this to his students? One could argue that maybe it's just a matter of skill, that his students are not skilled enough to make these potions. But clearly, if he was giving this information to Harry would have excelled. He is hiding this information. He doesn't want other people to know about it. And we can tell because Harry is the only student who is excelling in book 6. Slughorn is impressed with him, says that he's one of the greatest potion makers that he has almost ever seen in school, aside from Severus Snape, which means Snape is not sharing this information with other classes. One could argue that perhaps he is just not sharing it with Harry's class because he simply hates Harry, but then why wouldn't he be sharing it with the golden child Malfoy? Why isn't Malfoy the best potion master since him if all it takes is a steady hand and following the directions? No other classes have excelling students, not even the Ravenclaws, who are all about intelligence. Wit beyond measure is man's greatest treasure. They should be the ones that you would think would be excelling if just knowledge was the only thing that it took. If just telling them about the steps was all it took, and that appears to be the case, since Harry can succeed at it, then you would think that the Ravenclaws would be the ones capitalizing upon this the most. Even if it's just a favorites thing of where he wants only his team to do better. Again, why not Malfoy? Why not any of the other Slytherins? Why is Slughorn so impressed with Harry if anyone else is receiving the type of education that Snape could be giving them? It's simple. He's not giving it to them. So this is a huge nail in the coffin of whether or not Snape is a good teacher. I've already talked about the fact that he allows his personal feelings about things to get in the way. But here he's holding back truly good information that would make his students successful. Simply for what reason? My belief is that it's because he likes the glory and the fame of being the best potion maker. Slughorn himself said that Harry was the best potion maker he had seen in a long time, insinuating that Snape was the best one that he had seen before him. Snape is seen as being pretty much one of the only potion masters in the book. We barely ever hear about anyone else. I would say that you could count them on one hand, and I would say they would be Snape, Slughorn, Dumbledore, and perhaps Nicholas Flamel, depending on if the Sorcerer's Stone counts as potions making. I don't know. He was an alchemist, which I guess the potions making is kind of alchemy-ish. I don't know. But we see that Snape is one of the greatest potion makers of all time, even through Book 6 and the Half-Blood Prince book. We see that Slughorn is clearly really, really good at making potions and can make things like Filis Felicia and things like that. He understands the value of expensive and valuable ingredients like acromantula venom or dragon's blood. And we see that Dumbledore was one of the people to come up with all of those uses for dragon's blood. I wonder if one of those uses was hiding yourself from old friends by faking your death at the hands of Death Eaters.
Well, I must say you make a very convincing armchair, Horace.
It's all in the upholstery. I come by the stuffing naturally. What gave me away?
Dragon's blood.
Really, that was a terrible plan when you think about it, because why would there be blood? Wouldn't they have used the killing curse on him or something? So yes, I believe that Snape really doesn't want to share the limelight. For whatever reason, he doesn't want anyone else to be as good of a potion master as he is. Because if he did, he would simply teach them the steps. Because that's all it takes. We see it proven time and time again that even the best students using the original recipes fail. And even the worst students using the right recipes succeed. And so I think we can prove through this that Snape truly does not care to teach his students. Probably because he wants to be the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. And probably because he likes being the best. He likes it that no one like James can lord over him anymore because he is the most amazing and best potions maker that has ever lived. I think that if we really try to separate the emotion of whether or not we like him as a character away from things, if we look at how he allows his personal life to get in the way of his teaching, if we realize how just incredibly flawed he is in regards to favoritism and things like that, and then we realize that he has all of the steps and the knowledge needed to teach his students exactly how to be just as successful as he is, all he would have to do is print his own potions book. All he'd have to do is teach his students, no, use 15 here instead of 14, or crush it with the flat side of the blade. That's all he has to do, and he refuses to. So I think that we have pretty definitively worked this out now, and I think we can say that Snape is a bad teacher. If you have other reasons you believe perhaps he does these things, I'd love to hear about those in the comments below. And if you'd like to hear more things about Snape or other Harry Potter characters, you can hit the like button and tell me that in the comments as well. I plan on doing more Harry Potter theories and ideas, so if you are interested in seeing those in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell so you will hear about those when they come out. I also play Harry Potter games and stuff, so if you're interested in any of those, you will see a link over here to me playing some of the Harry Potter games, both the mobile game and some of the movie games as well. Thank you all so much for being here. You're all super awesome, and I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you about this. As always, I will see you in the next one. Remember that this is Nathan Blake signing off for Nathanblakegames. Sayonara.